thing too, and now we're kind of starting to get a little bit out of it, but trying to pay attention to the time here. The size of your shank is critical. You're a bad person. If I notice your wife has gone home, that's why you can act like this. The size of your shank is very important.
Okay.
Because if you have a little shank, if you put it under pressure, it won't stay in the collet. So, when cutting hard materials, you want to make sure that your Can we go on live, please? The rigidity of the shank is important, because if your shank is not if the shank
I can't stop. I'm sorry.
I hate my job. Okay, I'm going to do my best here to continue this line of thought. If your shank is not of sufficient thickness, it won't retain the rigidity that it needs, and you won't be able to get the cut. And the cut is critical, especially, once again, in high abrasive solid surface materials. So, the rigidity is the key on any router bit. If you don't maintain, that's the way the whole show's gone this last half. If you don't maintain the rigidity, you'll get a very poor cut, which will introduce a lot of stress into the collet, which will wear your collet out and it'll ruin your bit, and it's costing you a lot of money. So rigidity is really a key. And the other thing too is you can actually feel that. You guys that have run routers an awful lot know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not only how it feels going into the cut, but it's also how it sounds. So you want to, are you back? Are you going to be a good boy?
Yes, I'm back.
Your back is badder than ever.
I'm sorry.
So you want to,
sorry.
you want to, you break my train of thought when you come back. You should have stayed away. But you really want to go by how the bit feels, because I'll tell you, if you begin to hear anything at all that doesn't sound right or doesn't feel right, and that includes even a saw blade, because you can lose a tooth while you're cutting. So you don't want to lose teeth.
That's right.
But the same thing, you can begin to lose carbide, which can throw the bit off and it won't perform correctly. The other thing that's really critical to that feel, and we've talked about this some, but we've got to talk about it when we're talking about the different bits, both bowl bits, two total different configurations. But you can see these Delrin bearings at the top.
Actually, I don't think they're Delrin anymore. I think
nylon.
Teflon or nylon.
Nylon.
Okay.
And the key,
Delrin cracked after a while.
Yeah, I think Delrin just kind of is there because it's become a generic term.
Right.
But this nylon, I was fascinated to find out from the manufacturer, there's no guarantee on the performance life of the nylon on the bearing. It may last 3 inches, it may last 300 feet, it may last 3 miles. And the problem is there's so many variables to its failure. But that's something you want to pay very careful attention to. You want to make sure that it's always well lubricated and free moving. That is very, very important. But that also applies to a metal bearing. You like the way that works for you?
It's nice and smooth.
There you go.
It is.
Got a nice roll to it, doesn't it?
It's got a good feel to it.
And now that's one size metal bearing, and there's another. But you want to pay attention to how those bearings are performing, because if you start to get the feeling that something isn't right on the bit, that it starts to get rough or something, you want to stop your cut immediately, because the object is to help save your
work.
work.
We said last week that lubrication is key, always, with a router bit. Absolutely. Well, with a bearing, rather.
And I want
really quickly, we got to get in these. We only have a couple minutes
Go
left.
ahead, talk about it.
Okay. Insert bits. Why are they better? Couple of reasons. On a straight flute, well, they're making these in different profiles as well now, but the biggest thing that we found out in asking questions about these is, since this carbide has not been heated, it's actually, is it stronger?
Stronger. It's stronger.
It's stronger. It'll last longer. So these are one of those tools that it's pay me now or pay me later. You're going to pay a lot of money up front for the holder, but the router bits are actually, they're two-sided. You flip them over, you screw them in with these two screws, and then they're sharp again. So you don't have any downtime for one. There's never a size difference, and this is with a flush bit with a bearing, the size of the bit is critical in relationship to the size of the bearing. The more times you get a flush cutter sharpened, the smaller diameter it's going to get. That's not the case with an insert bit. Insert bits are absolutely less expensive in the long run. It's better in the long run because you're always making a flush cut. You always have sharp bits because it's easy to just say, oh, my bit's dull, turn it around.
Or the inserts also come like this. These are the inserts for that particular
bit.
bit.
Buy 10 in a box.
Correct. And the price of these are really about pretty close to the price of a good bit.
And these are sharp on both sides. So out of one of these, if you have a single flute bit, out of one of these, you're going to get 2 router bits. The cost of 2 router bits.
You can also get this, now this happens to be a bottom bearing, but you can also get this in plunge.
Right. Yep.
So one of the things, and I'm slow to learn some things, unfortunately, but I would have to say from a fabricator standpoint, if I still had a shop, I think these would be the type of bits I would be using now. I would stay away from these altogether.
From a fabricator standpoint, yes. From a distributor standpoint,
no.
We wish you wouldn't buy them. But it really, I mean, it's really the best cost, the best bang for the buck when you're talking about, spending money and getting the most for your value for money.
So a fantastic bit. One other thing I wanted you to get to
Let's
quickly.
cover those next week because we're just
We're
about out of time.
We have only 1 minute left.
Right.
And we probably would have had time if we didn't melt down on you, but.
But we're sorry about that.
That's part of what makes it kind of weird to watch us because you don't know what, you may not want to know what goes on, but we'll let John explain how this has been used in the farming industry. And was it dairy farming?
No, it is sheep farming.
Okay. So make sure
we'll talk about these next week, guys.
Make sure you have your rubber boots.
We want to thank you for joining us. Our product code for this week is
01 0
1
8
08. That's right.
01 08
right 07.
Excellent, you got it.
Okay.
01 08 07.
And we'll be running 10% off all saw blades, all manufacturers
Lin
that
Bai,
we carry,
AEG, Amana,
and all the router
Poplar.
bits that we carry. Anything except for Festool again, because we do carry Festool blades.
That's correct. Again, so that actually makes your favorite Velopec bit a great deal this week.
That's right. So, thanks, and we're out.